Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Vision Committee meeting for the City of Canyon City. And would you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Dennehy?
Here.
Councilmember Maloney?
Here.
Councilmember Schmischer?
Here.
Councilmember Stein?
Here.
Councilmember Tracy?
Here.
Councilmember Worthington?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Hemrick?
Here.
Mayor Troutman?
Here. And would the pool committee, would you like to do your roll call? Or do you do that sort of thing?
Rec District.
Pardon?
Rec District.
Rec District.
Canyon City Rec District, Melissa Smines. Sean Rogers.
Present.
Andy Palmisano.
Here.
Christina Post is here. Cooper Trahern.
He has not called in yet.
Okay. All right.
Is that it? What did I call you, the pool committee? Did I?
Yes, you called us the pool committee.
Oh, my gosh.
Canyon City.
It's been on
Parks and Rec.
everybody's mind for a long time.
It's okay.
So I'm sorry.
That's fine too.
I know who you are. So anyway, so this evening we're going to talk about the pool. And would you like to start off, Ryan, or Mr. Slater, or Kyle? Council? Anyone? Oh.
Kyle, do you want to maybe give a brief update on where everything is with the pool?
So the brief update, again, as many in the community, and we've discussed this publicly, is that last November, 2A and 6B passed authorizing capital construction of a pool. So technically, we can go out, sell bonds, start construction, because that has been authorized. The question was, could we operate the pool, because operations did fail by 3.7%. So we could build it, but it would just have to sit there, or we'd have to run extremely limited hours. And that's not a win for anybody in the community. So the question we get asked is, why move forward with the pool? Well, we can move forward with planning, but the shovel has not hit the ground, and we're not demoing the existing building. We haven't started any of that work because we want to be able to address operations. And we work cooperatively with the City of Canyon City to come up with a plan to address operations for this year. In the meantime, we have looked at numerous taxing options. Dan Slater and I reviewed a couple of different ideas that came our way. They did not meet statutory requirements, or there was some question about, was it constitutional, was it not? And so we didn't want to, so we didn't move forward with any of those. We still have a mill levy option that's sitting off to the side. We know that that is kind of the last case scenario where we could do a mill levy request, but we also know that that is a much harder ask. In just about any community in Colorado this year, through survey work, most mill levy questions are not looking favorable, at least at this point. So Ryan Stevens came up with an option to potentially go forward. Before we get into that, I do want to mention that the Recreation District has assembled a team to work on this project. The owner's rep is Wimber. They have done a wonderful job so far. The architecture firm to handle the design of the pool is Barker Rinker Seacat. The majority of business that they do are rec centers and pools. Very reputable firm, doing a great job with us. And last night we made it official that we are we are going to enter into a contract with GH Phipps to build the pool. So that will be our construction manager at risk, and they are very reputable as far as pools go. They were one of 3 firms that we interviewed, one of 5 that put in. So we feel very fortunate to have assembled a team like this. It seems like everybody is going to work very well together and have a common goal. And now it's just, and that is to replace the Ichabod pool and provide not just a seasonal facility, but a year-round facility, because that's what the voters chose in November, which is something that was an indoor-outdoor option that would be open year-round. So that is where we are at least at this point, a very high-level view. I will say that there have been multiple members of City Council, as well as Ryan Stevens, who has been involved in many of the meetings, at least at this up to this point. So the transparency continues. The school district has been involved as well. They've had numerous board members, as well as their superintendent, the high school principal, their head of operations facilities was there as well. So we have continued with that cooperation level and trying to make sure that we are communicating well. But now it's time, at least today, to address that operations piece, because we are running pretty tight, at least at this point. So by September 4th, ballot language must be submitted to the county, and in order to be on the ballot, the question becomes, is it a property tax question, or is it an alternative taxing measure, which is one of the things that we're here to discuss today. But we want to stress to the community that either way, no decision has been made, at least at this point. We're still working cooperatively, and that is why the Recreation District and the City of Canyon City are meeting here today in this meeting to now discuss this option. And I would turn it over to Ryan Stevens to talk about that option and go from there.
Thanks, Cal. Yeah, there have been several meetings. I think both the city and the Rec District have had some executive sessions trying to work on things behind the scenes before it was ready for public consumption. And that's what we're here for tonight, is to talk about this idea for an alternative taxing method. So, I think the feedback has been pretty clear that a property tax would be very hard to pass, and traditionally it has been here in Canyon City and Fremont County. What we're looking at as an alternative method is an excise tax on amusements and attractions. And we believe that, if we set that at the right rate, that would have enough money to cover the operations of a pool, given where the pool and the Rec District are, and where that cost recovery numbers are looking like they're going to come in. So there are still details that we're working out, making sure that we're setting that percentage rate at the right location or the right place, and try and do our best guess on how much revenue that will generate. I think we have a decent idea on what it would generate, and we're going to continue to work through that. But as Kyle mentioned, we have a very tight time frame, especially for the city. It takes 2 readings of an ordinance to approve the ballot language, which means August, the first meeting in August, the second meeting in August for the city. That ballot language will need to be considered so that we can get it, either approved or denied and onto a ballot. And I think there's several things, in the Rec District taking lead on some of this, of trying to get additional public engagement and public feedback on this concept. And Kyle, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about Magellan Strategies and the survey work?
Absolutely. So the Recreation District has entered into a contract back in April with Magellan Strategies to look at another survey, and that is to gauge interest, because we needed to know, at the time, we really didn't have an alternative taxing option. It was strictly mill levy. Not that we weren't going to continue to look, but we didn't have that option. So we needed to know exactly where the community landed on a potential mill levy, so the board could make an informed decision on, one, what to put on the ballot, or if even going on the ballot was would be a bad idea. You didn't want something that was going to have no shot of passage. So we had to survey it. So we agreed to do a survey with them. So for the time being, what we have decided, and Ryan and I met with Magellan a week ago, and we asked, I requested that the city be allowed to survey this as well, to survey the question and come in on it. It costs the city nothing. We're already doing it. So you just have to hop on the survey. And that's what we're looking at. So then that way you can hopefully make an informed decision. We also know that for the survey, we needed some potential assessed value numbers. So when you're dealing with property tax from the assessor, you're provided with what the assessed value of, for example, for the city, what the city would be, or for the Rec District, what we would be. At this point, due to the numerous changes that the state has made to property tax over the last several years, the assessor, Stacy Seifert, is doing her best to try to work her way through it. We do not have those numbers. We do not expect to have those numbers until probably close to the statutory deadline, which is toward the end of August, which means we're going to have to now rely on this is what your increase would be if we have to go for a mill. Not really sure what that dialed-in number looks like, but at least we could give them a ballpark area of mills and what that could potentially look on their tax bill. So we have to know that, as well as the city has to know where this other option would be. So that's kind of where we're at least with Magellan, and trying to get a survey. So all of this action is going on. Meanwhile, design is still happening. We are still trying to dial in all the numbers, because once you go from feasibility study or to 50,000-foot view, now we're really starting to get into the weeds and really dial in what the actual cost number is and what we can do. So I just want you to know that all that work is all going on simultaneously. So we're basically, Ryan and I think combined are probably juggling about 10 different balls in the air at one time and trying to make it work. But the timeline is tight, and we want to make sure that we're aware of it, which is one of the reasons why we're meeting here, so that way City Council and the Recreation District Board of Directors can have a lot of discussions today where they're at, so we can make decisions moving forward.
Okay. Emily, go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, Mr. Mayor, are we using the blue buttons tonight, or do you want to do it a different way?
Yeah, let's do it a different. We got too many people here.
We'll raise
And
hands.
My machine isn't working correctly here, or you will have to talk the whole evening, because it just says Emily Tracy. So go right ahead.
I thought it might be helpful to just maybe put a little bit more detail on what you've already talked about, and that is that and correct me if I'm wrong, the Recreation District can only do a property tax. You don't have other revenue generation options that you can do.
That is correct.
And then the other thing, I thought if we could just kind of give a bit of a definition of what an excise tax is as compared to a sales tax or whatever.
Yeah, an excise tax is similar to a sales tax. It's something that's charged on things that may not necessarily be traditionally charged a sales tax. So, for instance, service fees or tickets don't necessarily have a sales tax on them. So the excise tax, as a home rule municipality, we have the ability to levy an excise tax with the vote of the people, and we're working on dialing in that ballot language, and we'll plan on bringing that forward. And the way that we're looking at it, as I mentioned, amusement and attractions, this is something that primarily would be assessed to visitors to the community, not necessarily the residents of the city,
Right.
or the region, the rec district
Thanks.
boundary.
Thank you, Emily. Anyone else, even from the Recreation Board, if I get that correctly? Yes, go
I
ahead.
mean, I would just say, it's a users-based solution. So, it should keep costs low, right? It's not going to all fall on locals. We have a lot of people that visit Canyon City, right? They will be chipping in and helping us pay for this. So we're down to two options, mill levy or this excise tax. And I think, you use it, I don't know what the tax rate will be, but should be relatively low for those locally who use it, but then those who come from out of town can help us pay for our pool.
Yes, ma'am.
I also want to say that we have listened to the public. We've heard so many times that people do not want their property taxes raised. We have heard so many times, find another option. There's got to be another option. And we feel that through this partnership with the city, which we really appreciate being able to work together on that, we feel this is a great way of showing that we have been listening and we value your opinions and we respect all of the different opinions that we've received on operations funding for the pool. So that's why this, we feel, is another great option to get this pool across the finish line.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
just to, I guess, follow up on that too, I appreciate the, as was said before, the mill levy is really our only option, and folks don't want to see that happen. And I really appreciate the partnership. We all really appreciate folks brainstorming, trying to find something that might be more, palatable for the community. Based on all the feedback we've been seeing. And it's great to see all the folks up here supportive of this as well. So thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, Beth, would you like to step forward there?
Thank you.
I think most of us know your name, but would you like to just go ahead?
I will. So, Beth Ketchmar. So I've been on the Fremont County Tourism Council for almost 18 years now. And and we were talking about trying to come up with some kind of solution of helping to fund the pool through the lodging tax, because we thought the state was going to open up an opportunity to use your lodging tax dollars on something other than just marketing lodging or marketing tourism. So I think the excise tax is a perfect solution. We've never had a problem reiterating the lodging tax. Voters have always voted for it because they see it as something that's brought in by the visitors are paying for it. People who are using the facilities are paying for it. And so it's always been a very positive thing. I think tourists don't notice 50 cents, $1 added on to their service fees. I think it would allow some of our big operators like the train and the bridge to help fund the pool, which I think would be a great opportunity. I just think it's a great idea. I think this is a perfect solution to funding the pool. So I think thank you very much for the city doing that. Because we talked about an excise tax, but it has to come through the city. So yeah, I think it's a great idea.
Thank you, Beth. Yes, sir.
When you say you talked about it, who talked about it?
The Fremont County Tourism Council.
And who's involved in the Fremont County
So the Fremont County
Council?
Tourism is made of 7 people that are involved in different tourism throughout the county. So Adam and then we also have representatives. We are the lodging tax. The Fremont County Tourism Council is the administrator of the lodging tax that is collected by the county on a quarterly basis. And so we have a budget of about $320,000 every year that we work with, and we also get grants for additional money. And so we put out the visitor's guide, and we have a really nice website, and we do marketing for the area to bring tourists, to put heads in beds, to pay the lodging tax that then funds the marketing.
Nice, okay. And just for my clarity's sake.
I understand. A lot of people don't know we exist. We've existed it was voted in right about this in 2005. The lodging tax was voted in, and we've put it to the ballot 2 additional times because it had the sunset, and we've never had a problem passing it.
Nice. And are all these major businesses, like the train and I think the bridge, I'm not sure if it's in the city, but I know it's obviously in the county, are all of those people represented in the Tourism Council?
Not necessarily. They have been over the years. We've had representatives from the bridge. We've had representatives from the train. It's become that we have somebody from Florence area. We have somebody represented. I represent Canyon City, the downtown Canyon City area, and then just people who are willing to participate. We try to have a lodging owner in there. Adam up on top of the hill. He's the current chairman. So that's. But over the years, yes, everybody has been represented over the years. The rafting, lodging, the train, the bridge, yes.
Nice.
And they're well aware. They all support it too.
Nice. Yeah, and that's helpful. That's just one thing I'd say is it's so encouraging to see the unity around a possible solution. There's still some things to be ironed out, and there's questions about how much would be generated. I mean, how many tax dollars would be generated? But it's nice to live in a town where we have businesses that bring enough people to where this is even an option. So it's encouraging, because sometimes that's not the sentiment that we have.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Just kind of piggybacking off of what Beth said on it's kind of like when you take your family on a vacation, you go on a resort, you're paying a resort fee, right? Everyone pays it. They don't care they're paying it because they're on vacation, right? So just what she said as far as, you know, an extra tax when they come on vacation to Canyon City that use our community, which we have a beautiful community and we have so many people that come here. I don't see that being a burden on those people vacationing.
Thank you. Anybody else? I just have a concern that whatever we do would cover the expenses that you're after. The second question, after looking at it, could it be voluntary? Let's say that the people on the council there that have zip lines that normally wouldn't have to do that would volunteer $2 per ticket or something like that. Could they volunteer, or is that would be possible?
In addition to having the excise tax?
Well, let's say if the excise tax, let's just take zip lines. That would not be purview for the tax, right? Or is it?
Well,
Or not in the city?
they're
but-
not in the city, yeah.
But what happens if, let's just use that as an example, they said, yeah, we'd like to participate to help for the pool, because it's good for their people too. Can they do that?
I don't see any reason why they wouldn't be able to make a donation to the rec district.
Okay. Yeah, and I agree with your discussion. I think we were in Santa Fe, and started paying my bill, there was a $25 daily charge. And I said, what's that for? And he said, well, you're going to help us buy parking lots. Okay. I still stayed there. And I think you're looking at less than $5, probably $1 or $2. But the concern is that, will this excise tax cover the $300,000 to $400,000 that we hope would take care of that? So, yes, ma'am, you're back.
Yes. Oh, I just wanted to make the point that the lodging tax that we collect is 3%, and it's only on the hotels, and it's only on the people who are staying in hotels who are tourists, which lots of times the hotels around here are populated by people from the Department of Corrections and things like that that don't pay sales tax. But we have an extraordinary amount of people that I observe on a daily basis that do not put their heads in beds in this area. They come down from the Broadmoor, they come down from the Cheyenne Mountain Resort, they come in from all the different Airbnbs and park campgrounds and all those different areas. Sometimes they're just driving through and they're stopping for the day. They aren't even spending the night. So the amount we collect the amount you will collect on an excise tax is much, much bigger than the amount that we are currently collecting on the lodging tax.
Okay, thank you, Beth. And it goes back to a toll booth that we could charge people to come to our town. Would that work? No, I'm just kidding. So, anyone else?
Mr. Mayor, I
Yes.
do see that Cooper Trahern is showing as an attendee. We're promoting
Okay.
him up to a panelist if we can. He's the chair of the board, so he may have some comments.
Cooper? Okay, John, go ahead.
And while we're doing that and waiting to see if any hands are raised online, the part of what we're doing, the rec district and the city council, is talking about an intergovernmental agreement. The city has several intergovernmental agreements they're party to. This would be another one, and the purpose of the agreement would be so that everybody's on the same page and knows what we're doing and what the goals are and who's on first, that kind of thing. Some of the important things that need to be covered in an intergovernmental agreement, an IGA, are any periodic reporting that might be appropriate, considering what's going on. Definitions as to what operations mean. I mean, that's what we're talking about, operating, paying for this excise tax, paying for the operation of a pool, what that exactly means in some specificity, so that we're all protected, so that and this would be something that would be part of the public record and would be available for public comment also. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Just to comment on how those discussions about the intergovernmental agreement have been going, everybody seems to be, really on the same page, and it seems like we'll be able to get to a solution pretty easily, where we're just kind of lining out the boundaries, and, it's just great to, I work with a lot of conflict, and it's nice to sometimes not have that, so, yeah.
Do you seriously think we have to have this done by the end of August? Can we have an intergovernmental agreement and the verbiage of the excise tax in the next 2 weeks?
Yeah, so I don't think the intergovernmental agreement needs to be done by the end of August, but the ballot language does, and we are working on that, and that will be, packet deadline for the first meeting in August is this Friday. So we're working on that. We'll probably end up, taking some time early next week to get that hammered out, but we're going full steam ahead.
So you're suggesting that you could have it on or about the first meeting in August for the city council?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Gentlemen, would you like to talk? Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, how are we doing? I'm Chris Moffitt. I'm with Royal Gorge Rio, Fremont County's river-based 501c3, also the Royal Gorge Whitewater Festival Board, and a Arkansas Headwaters Recreation Area Citizen Task Force member. I say all that because all those organizations have a vested interest in getting kids properly trained on how to swim. So I think this is a great idea. I was really excited when I saw it online. I actually drove over here just so I could comment better. I guess I could have done it online. But I just want to say I really like this idea and support it 100%, and my organizations do for the most part, I would say. But my one concern is, has the major parties that would be affected been brought in to this at this point, and is the discussion happening with them to make sure that this isn't a blindsided thing, that they're not blindsided and then they don't in turn fight or retaliate? So that would be my major concern with this. Otherwise, fantastic idea. I don't know which one of you did it, but brilliant, nice work.
Reaching out to the organizations will be the next steps.
Roger, cool, thanks.
Okay. Amy, is that your hand? Someone's hand's up there.
It is.
Go ahead.
Thank you,
Go ahead.
Troutman. Just really appreciate the work that's gone into this and the collaboration with the rec district on finding a way forward that makes sense and hopefully is one that our community will support and will lead to a pool in the not too distant future. I did want to note, I do think it's really important that we finalize the IGA along the same timeline as the ballot language. I think the two are really interconnected, and there's no way to pull them apart. So I really would like to see the IGA for our approval, at least along with the second reading of the ballot. I don't think that there's any reason to delay, and I think it would be beneficial to understand it as a complete package. Thanks.
Okay, anyone else online there? Cooper? Can I put you on the spot?
I think we lost Cooper from, he's
that
not
vo-
able to speak through the app, but I think he may have sent Kyle a message.
He said, "I want to thank the city and other partners in the community for this collaboration and creative thinking. I believe this is a great opportunity, and I haven't seen any sort of tax have this level of momentum and support from so many different user groups."
Thank you.
That's his statement.
Thank you, Cooper. Anyone else like? Yes, ma'am. Sorry.
And Ryan might be better to kind of list out where the discussions are so far. I don't, right at this moment anyway, think that we necessarily have to finish the IGA completely in the same time frame as the ballot language. But certainly there's some big pieces of it that will need to be pretty well settled, I think, within the next month or so. And we've talked a little bit about some of those things just in terms of what does it look like. We're doing the best we can on the city side to figure out what kind of revenue a certain percentage excise tax would generate, and then needing to figure out how does that play out. Do we retain some small amount of that in the city as an administrative fee or not, because there will be some staff costs to the city. Unlike the sales tax, we would be needing to do local collections, as I understand it, on the excise tax. So, we're talking and have not made any decisions on some of those details about how that works. So I think if we get the larger issues pretty well settled by the end of August, I think that will help. But I envision that there could be some little details that'll still hang out after that. But Ryan, maybe you've got a better take on that.
Yeah, we're not going to be dragging our feet on it. We're going to be
Right.
working on it to try and get it done as soon as we possibly can. But, as you mentioned, Councilmember Tracy, there may be some details that drag it on a little bit further than the ballot language. Just knowing what the timelines are for the council meetings and rec district meetings.
And some of the big concepts, we can clearly state, as we've already talked about, this is, this revenue stream, if it passes, would be for pool operations only. And, so there's a lot of things like that we can be concrete about and communicate about from now forward.
Thank you, Emily.
What I
Go
can
ahead.
suggest maybe is, we did have a meeting last night among representatives of the city and the district board to talk about what that IGA might look like, or in fact whether we needed one or two IGAs. And what I might suggest is that I can put together kind of a shell, share that with council for the city, and see if we have at least a general idea of what that's going to look like, even if we don't have something finalized. At the same time we have the ballot language finalized, at least we can kind of see the direction we're heading and make sure, and maybe identify the areas, if there are any, where we need to buckle down and spend some time
Thanks,
talking
Dan.
in depth.
Thank you, Dan. I understand that's what Amy and Emily have in mind, that we'd like to see that the parameters of the IGA, we know pretty much on the excise tax as best we can, and that would be our comfort level.
Okay, I can.
Yeah, rough that through, and we certainly would like. Is that pretty much okay, Amy? You have a look. But no, your hands up. So.
Yeah, I think that would certainly give me a greater comfort level, given that there were only, 2 representatives from the rec district and 2 representatives from city council at that meeting. I think it's just important that the entirety of city council and the entirety of the rec district has broad understanding and agreement as to what the parameters of that IGA will look like. I would hate for, something to go awry or for there to be a miscommunication. So really appreciate, Mr. Slater, your offer to write up the notes from that meeting and circulate, and just make sure that we're all on the same page so that there aren't any surprises down the line if it isn't possible to get that IGA fully signed by the time that the ballot language is agreed to.
Thank you, Amy. Is there another? Oh, that's your hand. Okay. Anyone else?
So, Mayor,
Yes.
I do want to mention that when we discuss the subsidy that's required, I think there's some misconceptions in the community. So we've always said that public pool, and it's played out over and over again nationwide, pools are a service. They do not have full cost recovery. They are not profit-making centers. They are a service. And we have to meet the socioeconomic needs of the community. And it's not uncommon for public pool facilities to need somewhere in the neighborhood of 50% subsidy. They get the other 50% from user fees, concession sales, day passes, season passes, whatever, swim lessons, things like that. So you are going to generate some revenue. But 50% normally is a safe bet in that area as far as recovering subsidy. We did a very high-level feasibility study last year to give us an idea and a range of what that subsidy is going to be. Now that we are in the design phase and going into schematic design, like I said, we're getting into the weeds. The pro forma is being redone. So we basically start the pro forma over again based on the design, the final schematic design of the facility. So we're able to dial it in and give a much more concrete answer than what we had. Do we expect the number to be somewhat close? Yes, we do suspect we're going to be in the neighborhood, but how close? Are we $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 away? What are we at? And so we are dialing that in. We are starting with, they've already begun, the design team has already begun working on the pro forma. We have our first meeting with them on Friday, based strictly on the pro forma. We have a 1-hour meeting scheduled. In the meantime, we will be talking with local user groups such as, all right, you're looking to use the pool. We have to now talk about how much that is going to cost and what is that going to cost per year. So we are going to get that all dialed in, but that process is going on. So like we said, we said we have 10 different things juggling in the air: design, pro forma, ballot language, survey, IGA. There is a lot going on here. So district messaging. So we have a lot of things that we're working on at the same exact time. So I just want to let you know that we are, and Emily did bring it up, how are we dialing that in? We are dialing in the pro forma just like we are with the facility. We're no longer in that 50,000-foot view. So I can't tell you that I'm going to have a number for you in 2 weeks, but I can tell you that it is a work in progress, and as we get there, we will make sure to continually provide updates to Ryan that he can then pass along to you.
And for our part, is that this excise tax covers as best as possible what we've committed to do. If that's 50% or it's 30%, or because some of it should be holdback for reserves, some of it should be administration for us to account for that, because it does cost the city.
So-
And I don't know what that number, we never had an excise tax before.
So when you look at operations, reserves is part of operations. And you can see that if you look at our budget line and what we do with the pool in previous budgets, there has been a capital replacement line within that, or capital reserve line within that budget. So that is always part of what we do on a regular basis. But as far as the actual number, based on some discussions that Ryan and I have had, based on what the original pro forma was, we do believe, based on some initial projections, that we can get there with this excise tax. We believe that we can get there.
Those are the things that we talk about. That should be in the IGA. The excise tax is a different verbiage. So, Amy?
Thanks. I have the benefit of seeing the Facebook comments and just wanted to answer a question that's online. And Administrator Stevens, please correct me if I get any of this wrong. The question is whether or not the excise tax could be collected on operations or items at the bridge. The bridge is not in city limits, so it could not be. But if the bridge or anything else was to be annexed in the future, then it would.
That is
Thanks.
correct.
Yes, that's correct. Any other questions or comments? Yes, sir. Go ahead. No. Whoops.
Thanks, Mayor. So just for kind of public awareness, I guess, how much work has gone into estimating how much would be collected? I know that's still an open question and it's a detail that really matters, but I think when we're talking about comfort level and, the worst thing that could happen is that you swing and miss on that number and then you have a mess. So how do we feel in our projections?
Before we bring it back for a ballot, we'll feel pretty comfortable. I don't know that I can answer that question right now, but we're trying to dial in the assumptions that we have.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to say for clarity's sake too, when we're talking about operations, we're talking about operations of the pool only. The operations would not go to anything else within the rec district. It would just be operations for the pool, which includes, like Kyle said, reserves is a line item, salaries for all the employees, and the reserves includes planning for broken pumps, broken filters, slides, any type of equipment that breaks, as it will break. The lifetime on those things is, I'm sure we know that before we purchase, 20 years for a slide, 25 years for a slide. I'm not sure the exact number for that, but the reserves would be used for making sure that all those things can be fixed so that we don't do all of this work to plan and build a pool only to have a pool sit there because we can't afford to fix the pool. Of course, that includes, the operations includes utilities, keeping phones on, security, all that kind of stuff for the pool. So I just wanted to say that for clarity's sake, that operations does not include anything else at the rec district. It is just for pool operations.
And if I
Just
could
to
add
put in
that.
perspective how
Yeah.
expensive these items are, there are 2 communities in Colorado that are replacing their slides as we speak. One in Brighton, one in Fruita. It's over 900,000 in one and over 800,000 in the other. I want to be, these are not, aquatics is ridiculously expensive. I don't have to like the prices. It doesn't mean the price is wrong. The reality is that's what it's costing these days to do some of these things. I just wanted to make sure you understand how important that reserve fund is. The Recreation District removed the slide, closed it during the season in 2018. It was at the end of June in 2018. Attendance dropped like a rock, never fully recovered consistently. So yes, slide is essential for daily entry fees, okay? And then, but to replace that slide at that time, it was going to be close to $500,000. That number now would be closer to $800,000. That's just the reality of the industry.
Okay.
Just
Emily, go ahead.
wanted to add to that and what Christina said too, that there are things that are real concrete clear right now. And one of them is, and we've kind of talked about it quite a bit already, that this new funding stream, if approved by the voters, is not to build up a reserve to replace the pool someday in the future. It's only to have a reserve line in the pool budget itself. And I think that BRS and others that they're working with on the design and so forth, I think they're going to be helping to figure out, well, what is that capital replacement plan? There's probably a better name for it than that. But what, how many years do you expect to get out of a slide or out of a whatever, a boiler, whatever it is? And that will be the way that roughly anyway, the amount of that reserve, whatever is needed over time. And we don't need a big reserve fund on day one, but we certainly need a plan, or the rec district will need a plan to make sure that there is that funding for replacing as needed, repairing as needed in the pool facility that gets built. Did I
Very
say
well
that
said.
well and what?
Very well said.
Okay.
John?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In my simple way of thinking, an easy way to consider what's operational, what's not operational. So there's going to be a fence around the pool. Anything that occurs in the fence is going to be operational, really. That would include a repairman walking in to fix a boiler or whatever. But that's a simple way to think about it. But essentially, there may be some exceptions, but it should hold up pretty well. Anything that happens inside the fence around the pool is be considered operational.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
One thing that's really nice, we were talking about this in our meeting last night. First of all, that's great. That's really helpful, very visual. One thing that's nice is the rec district has run a pool for a long time, right? So we're building a new pool. But yeah, there's a great history of success and of experience. And we were going over, because I'm a new member of the board, we were going over the ledger accounts that cover a lot of these things, so on the revenue side and on the expenditure side. And all of these accounts, although right now they're dormant, they already exist. And so Don, who's wonderful, just said that, well, these are already there, and if we had a pool again, it would just be about bringing this whole thing back to life. So that brings a lot of trust, I think, because, it's like short-term memory says, well, how are we going to do this, But then you look and you're like, oh, we've done this for like 60 years.
Go ahead, Emily.
Add to that, this facility, at least as it's currently envisioned from what I've seen, is not going to look like the Ichabod pool. And there's a lot of reasons that that's a very good thing. It's year-round for one thing. But part of that design process and the input that the architects are getting are to figure out through design what's the most efficient way to build whatever that facility is going to be, so that you don't push the need for too much staffing, or that you don't pay way more than you should for utilities, and you can fill in the blank. A lot of things like that are being taken into account. So, that's going to be really important, I think, too, for all of us, the taxpayers, to recognize that that's taking place.
Thank you. John, go ahead.
No.
No?
I'm just pointing out.
Who's pointing? Oh, sorry.
I just wanted to add, ultimately, we just want to, extend the lifespan of the pool. The pool, I think, is 50-year lifespan, but then when we look at, I'm just going to read off some things here, pumps and filters, 5 to 10 years. Heaters, 8 to 10 years. Pool covers, another 5 to 10 years. Slides, 10 to 20 years. Diving boards, 8 to 15 years. So I think it's very critical we have that reserve fund to extend the lifespan of the pool so we don't have to come back to doing this again and make this last as long as possible. So again, just reiterating how critical that reserve fund is so we can upkeep and take care of everything.
Thank you. Anyone else? I do think we need to go forward, for me, and I think we ought to do a thumbs up or a thumbs down, or the first thing is the verbiage for the excise, and then those interesting things would be worked out in an IGA. That can come later. Then that will happen. But as an old timer in this town, I got to tell you, I can remember going out there and trying to build the Riverwalk, and people thought we were absolutely crazy. Try and get rid of the Riverwalk and see what happens. You see what I mean? I think the future's going to hold well for this. Then if you need something, you're going to get it. But right now, it's a tough one to get over. But people want this, and this is how we're going to do it. So we're on agreement on that? Any comments? We really would like to have the verbiage for the excise tax at the same time, because you're going to have it for our final for the city.
Yep.
And then an IGA, we can work on that. Okay?
Yeah, we'll have the excise tax for the next city council meeting, and I think
That'd
you
be
have one
great.
more comment over here.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yes, ma'am.
I was just going to say, I appreciate what Chris said about the importance of talking to the businesses who would be having this tax on their attraction. I'm interested to see what they have to say about it and if they have any input also. And I also like what you said about businesses who are outside of the city limits saying, hey, maybe we want to add $1 to our tickets and we can toss it in the fund. I don't know legally what,
I can see a great advertising thing from my company. If it wasn't, I would say we support your town and we support your pool, and we're going to voluntarily help to build this.
Yeah.
I think it's a great.
So I think obviously the next step is talking to the businesses and seeing, getting their input on it too.
Yes, sir. You're going to have to come to the podium, and you didn't change your name or anything, right? Okay.
Yeah,
good.
my name's still Chris Moffitt.
Okay, good.
Thank you,
All
Mr.
right,
Mayor.
all right.
Just thinking about those businesses and maybe leaving, I think it would be beneficial to have the IGA at the same time as the ballot language. I know that's a lot of work, and I know how hard worked our city employees are already. But I think knowing that sooner would help assuage the doubts of those that do have them. And so if we had those at the same time as the ballot language, I think people would be more comfortable, because some folks aren't as trusting as others when it comes to city matters.
I've never heard that.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think, sorry, the verbiage will be very close together, and by the time it hits the ballot, the IGA should be pretty much hammered out, I think.
And I think
Yeah.
even if we can't quite meet an end of August deadline, maybe we can on an IGA, but certainly by the time we start, we or committees or whoever starts publicizing and talking to the community about what's going to be on the ballot, we want to be clear about, how we convey that message and how the funding would work, and if the city retains a little or whatever it is, we want to be able to be clear about that from the beginning of any kind of public campaign that's conducted, and certainly by the time people start voting in October.
Yeah, because it's in November, right? There, Emily, Amy. Amy.
No worries. Thanks so much for that, Mr. Gunfit. I do think we've got over 3 weeks before that second meeting in August, so would love to see some of the specifics in the IGA largely hammered out by then, and I think we could probably meet. Totally understand that we can't meet the deadline of the first meeting in August, but I think we probably could at least have a lot of the specifics in terms of like admin costs and how much a reserve fund should be, and some of the things that may cause some of that additional consternation that Chris was referencing. I think we could certainly, hopefully, have that hammered out, given that second meeting is more than 3 weeks away. Do you think that that's feasible to at least work on that with the goal of trying to get it done by that meeting?
We have attorneys involved, so I don't know.
Again, I don't know that it's feasible to think that we will have a final product for council and the board to vote on by then. But I think it's feasible that you will have something in front of you that you can look at and evaluate and get an idea of where we're going. But I don't want to create false expectations and tell you, absolutely, we can get that done, we'll hammer it out, we'll get it done by tomorrow or 3 weeks from now, because I know what my calendar looks like, and I'm sure the city attorney's office calendar looks similar, and I also know that it's not just the attorneys making these discussions, it's you all, it's the board members. We only have so many meetings where we can discuss, where our differences are in executive session in terms of negotiating these things. So there's a lot of steps, and 3 weeks isn't that much time to go through all those steps in something that I think is going to be this complicated. Because we're going to want this to theoretically last for 50 years. So
Absolutely.
I don't want to rush through a 50-year document any more than I want to rush through a 50-year swimming pool.
No, definitely don't want to rush through a 50-year document or a 50-year agreement or a 50-year swimming pool, but also, cognizant of the fact that we are putting this on a ballot that, is in perpetuity. I think it is incumbent upon us to make sure that we have hammered out any larger items that may be those points of tension between our organizations before final decisions are made. And given that final decision does have to be made at that second August meeting, I just would like to make sure that we don't have those points of friction or tension. So I guess it would be helpful, Mr. Slater, if you have a sense of, is it just lawyer calendars, or are there particular items that that you're
just based on the meeting, based on the meeting that we had last night,
be a problem between our two organizations? Thank you.
I apologize for interrupting. Based on our meeting that we had last night, I don't anticipate quote unquote major issues between the city and the recreation district with respect to the IGA. But that doesn't mean that we won't have minor issues. And it's those minor issues that can sometimes cause delays in getting something to you that's in final form. In terms of what is going to take a while, it's just my experience that negotiating something that is as complex as I anticipate this may be is just not particularly when you have two boards, two governmental bodies involved in that. You're not just dealing with a manager here and a manager here of two private companies, hammering it out in a room. You've got two boards with, several independent thinkers who may have different ideas about what they want to see in this and what they don't want to see in it. And I just don't know that it's realistic to say it can be done in 3 weeks. And that's just the honest. Maybe it can, but I don't want to give you that false hope, if that hope is false.
Yeah, I think, I tend to agree. I think some of those major points we can probably get through, but, as Mr. Slater mentioned, we are creating a document that's probably going to outlive most of our tenures. And we want to make sure that both organizations are set up for success throughout that.
Okay, so independent thinkers, with the council, we have no problem with that, do we? Not at all, no. Jokingly, but so the verbiage for the excise tax is moving forward quickly, and then the IGA right thereafter. so that we can get that finalized. And I think that can be done. So anybody else would like to add before we close? No? Yes?
Again, we will have a survey coming out soon, so we'll make the public aware of that. There will be a survey coming out through
Okay.
Magellan Strategies. We're working on that. Ryan and I are working with them on that as we speak. Also, shameless plug, we do have a community design update workshop. This is open to the public. It's basically an open house. It's going to be at Canyon City Middle School Auditorium because construction's still going on at the high school. So there will be at the Canyon City Middle School Auditorium on August 26th at 6 p.m. That's on August 26th at 6 p.m. There'll be a presentation by the design team from 6 to 7, and that will be followed by an open house where you can provide feedback, what you like, what you don't like. And yes, your input does matter because from all of the public engagements that have been done by the design team, those have had impacts on how the design is starting to be developed and schematically. But we do encourage everybody to be there. Again, August 16th, 6 p.m. at the Canyon City Middle School Auditorium, 1215 Main Street. August 26th, August 26th at 6 p.m. So make sure you show up for that. We will continue to put out information about the meeting, but we encourage everyone in the public to get there, get involved. Yes, attendance at meetings does matter, and we want your feedback. So please show up.
Okay. And thank you. There's a planning commission meeting next, and they're planning on being here. Are they here? So we're done. Thank you. Really, thank you for everything. Thank you.